I'd say that at the moment gods of war are artillery and air force.
When Star fires 152mm caliber at full charge, it's very loud.
The only thing artillery cannot do is take POVs, that's all.
I am the destructive force.
The COP turns into some kind of brokerage office when the artillery is active. Everyone is on their phones and shouting, "Hello, hello, shoot there!"
For us, the enemies are not civilians. When my team, in particular me, has given the command and then we are informed by the COP that we got there, we are actually, to be honest, very happy.
I'd say that at the moment gods of war are artillery and air forces. Because if we take into account the number of losses inflicted by artillery and aviation on the enemy, they far outnumber the infantry. The only thing artillery cannot do is take POVs, that's all. Everything else, destroy something, just like that. Vehicles, infantry, easy.
I am the destructive force. At the position, I give the command to fire. Without my command, the howitzer won't fire. As they say, the gods of war? Yes, the gods of war. First of all, because it's very loud. When Star fires 152mm caliber at full charge, it's very loud. Without headphones, you will simply go deaf. Therefore, it is that thunderclap, followed by a serious destructive force.
We work on absolutely everything. We have full monitoring of our sector. For example, if the enemy targets our infantry units, we work to provide cover and suppress fire or to destroy. If enemy armored vehicles appear, they become a priority. And if it is quiet for a long time, well, relatively quiet, then we start working on the places where the Russian occupation forces are concentrated, if you don't call them anything else. OPs, COPs, and just areas where they are concentrated. That is, we have radio intercepts, they are planning to move somewhere and we know those areas where they are starting to accumulate before they move, and we begin to throw them a little bit.
The story opening has begun probably already in Slavyansk. I didn't have any practice there. At some site or something like that. I mean, my first firing was my combat team and I took the cannon and went on a mission. After the first shot, fire! For me, it was probably a turning point when I understood 100% all responsibility for this. It was near Stary Caravan. I can't tell you what my targets were, because at that moment we received some data, figures, fire adjustment. It was just numbers. I mean, I understood we were shooting at targets, but I didn't know what those targets were. It really was, and so we spent maybe 2-3 months. We were told that we demolished some stronghold here, or hit a dugout there, hit a trench, destroyed some group, and so on. But that was later, we didn't know any of this during the firing.
When the front line was in the immediate vicinity of Slavyansk, we were working on the outskirts, nearby Lyman, Bogorodichne. At that time we were running in, we worked mainly on pre-planned targets. We arrived, worked and left. At that time all the artillery in the area worked like this. And most of the work for us began with the start of the counter-offensive in the Kharkiv axis. The BTG took part in an operation near, what was it called, Volokhiv Yar. Well, in fact, we went all over the Kharkiv region. After that, the BTG was withdrawn and reorganized. And the next operation in which we participated was the closure of the Lyman pocket near Zarichne. I believe our most successful strike was near Mayorsk. There we fired one series of 6 shells. It's really not much. We succeeded to destroy the Shaka team, who were shooting our soldiers. Using the same artillery systems, we hit a building where the enemy was accumulating personnel, about 20 people, and also the area of concentration where they were gathering before going on the offensive. There is, let's say, a feature. Each howitzer is like a car. It behaves differently. Each is different in usage. 2 howitzers of the same type will not fire in the same way. You have to get used to each howitzer. After that, the work will go smoothly. That's why we are constantly calibrating and testing the sights to understand how this howitzer will fire.
My first cannon was D44. Now I have Msta B, that's one 52mm caliber. This is a very serious weapon. It can destroy everything. This is the howitzer that smashes everything. It has a very large range of ammunition. Depending on the targets, the ammunition changes, and a particular projectile is loaded. Now we are working with the forward observer. He is an officer in the command and observation post. He reports to us every time we impact that we are shooting at such and such a target. There is an undershoot or overshoot, 20-50 meters, and the fire is adjusted to the minimum number of shells. I mean, we cannot afford to just fire 50 shells in some direction. It's not a case smash to bits, that will do. We cannot afford it. And we don't have as many shells.
The CLP turns into some kind of brokerage office when the artillery is active. Everyone is on their phones and shouting, hello, hello, shoot there, not there, then oh no, yes, hooray, switch over there. Everyone is shouting, swearing, staring at those monitors, everything explodes, someone shouts they can't find his explosion, and the noise begins. Nothing is clear. But if you start working and you see explosions, that's it. You're like in a tunnel, just focused on those explosions. You don't hear that noise. Just sometimes when we are on the line with the howitzer commander, he says, I can hear you, thousands of voices, nothing is clear.
That's why I say them. At the moment, I know all the targets. We discuss it, we have full interaction. The officer knows everything that's happening at our position, and we know everything about the COP. We have this interaction. If anyone has any doubts, no one will give the order to shoot. There are no people with military background. Here I am, a photographer. My spot, a factory worker, standing behind the machine tool. The second one worked as a store manager, a clothing store, and so on. They all have different backgrounds. None of them were military men. None of them had ever fought before. But now we have all met and are on the same team. The deployment of the howitzer must be very fast. And I cannot stand there with a notebook and write down some numbers, because it's time. I need my howitzer to be set up very quickly. Therefore, if help is needed, I take a shovel and start digging. If necessary, I will start firing. As a howitzer commander, I can replace anyone in our team. That's why I help as much as I should in the given military circumstances. They tried to teach us, set us down to write dictation on commands. There are no such commands in the combat position. Commands in combat position: fire, ready to fire, where you go when you full, come back, other side, set up, stand down, let's get out. These are the commands. And all that, we have arrived, howitzer, ready, yes, pluses. There is no such thing. That's why volunteers are more effective. They do not bother with these military army rules. They don't have rules. They have a task that they are trying to accomplish. And they are looking for the most efficient ways to accomplish it.
The enemy often just fires around the area. It rarely happens that they aim at a specific target. In contrast to us, we are given a target, we aim at it and fire at it precisely, with adjustments. The Russians just aim and start throwing at everything. They rely on luck. That's the way they do.
We went to work in the forest belt near Zarichne, in front of Lyman, from the fields, from the forest belts and so on. We worked on the enemy positions, and it often happened that they didn't understand where we are firing from. And they just fired some piece of land with Grad, Smerch, Uragan and cannon artillery. Sometimes it was just a settlement. They believed that we are shooting from somewhere there, and they simply destroyed an entire square kilometer, although the Ukrainian military wasn't there. And since they cannot locate us, they start firing everywhere, just to scare, hit or miss. They just cover the area square by square.
The main thing for supporting infantry is mortars. They conduct the main fire, because mortars are very difficult to detect and to counter them. They are compact, you can shoot from any gap. The larger calibers are 122mm D30, Msta-B and Hyacinth-B. These are the howitzers we were using, the ones we have captured. These were the main Soviet weapons in service at the time. 122 and 152mm artillery and 120mm mortars.
When we were in the Kharkiv axis and in any other axis, we entered a settlement and the people there were happy to see us. They were crying. Believe me, we are crying with them. For us it's very touching. We are very worried about the people who are in the occupied territories. In principle, we are very worried about civilians. We try very hard not to hit where we shouldn't. And we don't hit it because here is the enemy and here are civilians and we can't hit them. And that's why we are doing everything we can to prevent anything from falling down there. For us, the enemies are not civilians. As I said at the very beginning, these non-humans tried to kill my child. And, for example, I currently try not to watch any news. Because when I watched the news about Bucha, Irpin, about Izum, and I was there. I saw the destruction. I saw what these non-humans, motherfuckers, it doesn't matter what you call them, what they were doing. So when my team, me in particular, has given the command, and then we are informed by the COP that we got there, that we destroyed the enemy's manpower and so on, we're actually, to be honest, very happy.